Just a brief overview of what we're going to talk about. I'm going to go over an overview of the course itself, what the Build a CubeSat course is, what you can expect, some of our schedule and due dates for this challenge specifically, and then some of the resources that we have available for you to help you be successful in completing our Build a CubeSat challenge. At the end, we'll open it up for questions, but feel free to post questions in the Q&A box anytime, and we'll get to those as it makes sense or at the end. So this is officially want to welcome you to Build a CubeSat Challenge. I hope that this is going to be a really fun experience for everybody and that you'll learn a lot. So I want to start with a little bit of background about who we are. Beaverworks is a collaboration between MIT Lincoln Laboratory and MIT campus. MIT Lincoln Laboratory is a federally funded research and development center that works on technology in support of national security. So we do lots and lots of things here, including building satellites for all sorts of applications. I myself work on various different small satellites, including weather CubeSats and imaging things and all sorts of fun stuff that I'm happy to talk to you more about as we work through this challenge together. On the Beaverworks team, we also have here our director of Beaverworks, Dr. Bob Shin, who you will probably hear from occasionally on emails and in some of our different meetings. We also have a lot of support from Joel Grimm and Lisa Kelly, who help put together this program and provide you with all of the hardware kits and the logistics behind the program. So they're two people that you can reach out to if you need to for any kind of admin sort of support. The Build a CubeSat course itself has been built by many, many people from Lincoln Laboratory and beyond who are subject matters in all sorts of topics related to building satellites. I will be your lead instructor. We also will be working with Katie Piccioni, who will be our lead scientist for this year. We're really excited to have Katie on board. Katie is in the Humanitarian Aid and Disaster Relief Group, and as we'll talk about in a little bit, that is very relevant to your science mission. We also have two teaching assistants who will be heavily involved in this course. They both took the Build a CubeSat summer program a couple of years ago and are very knowledgeable about what you're going to be doing and how to work through some of the challenges. Would you guys be able to introduce yourselves quickly?
Hey y'all, I'm Ansh. I'm a sophomore at UNC and I'm studying computer science and physics. And yeah, I did this course with Mason like 2 years ago, summer of 21, I think. So yeah, I'm really excited to work with you all and see what you all can come up with for the final project.
Hi everyone, I'm Mason Nadich. I'm your other teaching assistant. I'm a freshman at Stanford studying mechanical engineering, obviously pretty into aerospace as well. So yeah, I did the class 2 years ago over the summer, which makes me feel very old. But yeah, I'm really excited to be back with the class and, really excited for all you guys. I think you're going to find this pretty informative and a lot of fun. So yeah.
Mason and Ansh should be your first line of support. If you have any questions at all, they're going to be the ones looking through your questions on Piazza, helping you with who to talk to. If they don't know the answer, they'll know who to ask. They're here to help you and support you. So please, get to know them and don't hesitate to ask them questions on Piazza. Part of what makes this program possible is also our support from 3 professional organizations that we work with. So I wanted to give them a shout out here as well because they have been very instrumental in putting this together. And they're also where we recruit all of our mentors that you'll get as well, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So the 3 organizations that we work with are AIAA, which is the aerospace professional organization. We have SWE, which is the Society of Women in Engineering, and we work with the NSBE Aerospace Special Interest Group, which is the National Society of Black Engineers. We're really excited to continue to work with all three of those organizations over the last couple of years. They're really great, and they provide our challenge with some excellent mentors that you'll get to work with as well. I'm sure if you're interested in any of them, we have partners in each of those organizations that would be very happy to talk to you about those organizations and how you can get more involved. So please let us know if that's something that you're interested in. So you're here for the Build a CubeSat course. Hopefully you've already looked at the online course on Edley and have some idea of what it entails. But just to give you a high-level overview, the Build a CubeSat course invites you to design and build your very own prototype CubeSat. All of the background information that you should need is included in the online course, but of course, don't hesitate to ask if there's something that you want to know that's not included there. We will be sending you all of the materials that you need to complete the Build a CubeSat challenge in your hardware kit. Each team will get one kit that you will share. It includes all of the supplies to build a 1U CubeSat prototype. We'll also be providing you with a team mentor. Each team will get their own mentor to help guide you through the challenge. The online course is intended to be self-paced, but although we will give you a recommended schedule, we encourage you to complete it at the pace that makes sense for your team and to work through all of the self-check questions independently, as well as collaborating as a team to make sure that everybody on your team is understanding all of the concepts. The labs and the projects use the hardware kit in a variety of ways to explore the concepts in the lectures more deeply and give you some hands-on experience. We really believe in learning by doing in the Beaverworks. Lastly, I want to mention that collaboration and communication are very important to the Build a CubeSat challenge. There's a lot to do to complete through your final project, but we expect you to work through all of the laboratory exercises and the final project as a team, to split up tasks and collaborate so that you're all learning together and as a group. We also encourage you to ask questions, work with your coach, your mentor, your TAs, everyone that you have access to grow and learn faster. We have a lot of stuff included in the Build a CubeSat course. You'll of course learn about the basics of CubeSats and space systems, but we really hope that you learn about the tools that we use to develop satellites, how to work with hardware and software, and how to work as a systems engineering team to split up a big challenging problem into smaller pieces that you can tackle. Communication is a really important part of engineering to be able to present your ideas. So throughout the challenge, you will be asked to present your work in various different stages, and you'll get some feedback on that as well to help you improve your design. The CubeSat kit that you will be receiving will include some of the following components. You'll have a Raspberry Pi as your flight computer, a Raspberry Pi camera as your science instrument. You'll have a 9 degree of freedom IMU to determine the orientation of your CubeSat. You'll get a battery and a solar panel to power your CubeSat, and a 1U acrylic and aluminum structure to hold it all together. We'll also be supplying some additional materials in there that'll help you build and test. While these components aren't necessarily all flight space qualified, they are representative of what we would really launch for a real CubeSat mission. And in fact, MIT does regularly launch Raspberry Pis on their CubeSats. The final project for this year is now up on Edley. It was published as of yesterday, so you can go and take a look at the project description. You'll be asked to build a CubeSat to detect change after a disaster for a disaster relief effort. I mentioned that Katie Pincioni is going to be our mission scientist this year, and she is formerly a member of FEMA and now works as a researcher in our disaster relief group. is an expert on how we can use satellites to aid emergency responders in a disaster scenario. So it's a really exciting area of research and one that we hope that you'll enjoy thinking about. There are 4 main steps to your final project. In the first phase, you'll be doing mission planning. Well, you'll propose a CubeSat mission to address our science guidance from Katie. You'll then get to design your CubeSat system, and that will accumulate in a design review that you'll get feedback on from our challenge judges. Once you have your design together, you can then build and test your CubeSat. We'll be asking you to come up with your own method of testing your system operations. So there's an opportunity there to be creative, and we're really excited to see what you guys come up with. Then finally, we want you to think about the results of your testing and present your final summary in either a video or live at our final event. Talk a little bit more about the final event in a little bit here. So there's 3 main due dates that you need to be aware of for this challenge. The first is our FlatSat challenge due date, which is February 9th. FlatSat challenge is the first project that you do with your hardware, gets you up and running, learning how to use the Raspberry Pi, the IMU, and the camera. So it's really important that you start working with that hardware early on, so once you go into your final project, you get comfortable with how to use everything before you're trying to design a system to use that hardware. The next due date is your design review video. You'll be submitting a video to us with your full design review presentation, and that will be due March 15th. And we'd like to be able to have that well before the final event so that we can give you some feedback before your final presentations are due. Your final presentation videos will be due on April 9th, unless you are selected to present live at the final event on April 13th. We hope that everybody can attend our final event. There will be awards for that all teams are able to receive, not just the ones that present live. But if you are selected to present live, you'll be doing that on April 13th. It will be a remote event. We'll be holding it on Zoom, similar to this kickoff, so that everybody is able to attend no matter where you live. So below here, I have some guidance on where you should be as we approach the final event in April. As long as you make the due dates, it doesn't really matter if you follow this guidance exactly, but it's just something to check in with, make sure that you're keeping pace and you're going to be able to make these due dates. So hopefully everyone has already looked at the first 3 modules, the Introduction, Space System Basics, and CubeSat Development Tools modules, and started to work on the Python and the Git courses as well. Throughout January, you should work on completing the rest of the lecture modules, and you should be receiving your hardware kit and starting to work on your FlatSat challenge project for the February 9th deadline. Does not hurt to start early and get that in before the due date. In February, you should be fully moving on to working with the hardware and completing all of your subsystem labs. One note about the subsystem labs is they are pretty involved. We don't expect you to necessarily complete each of the subsystem labs entirely, because a lot of what you need to do for the subsystem labs does relate to your final project. So you can think about completing that as part of your final project. You don't need to get through them all the way before you move on. By March, you should be working on your final project, working on the design of your CubeSat system, and then be ready on the 15th to submit your video. And then by the time you submit your design review video, you should be thinking about actually building your prototype, moving on to how you're going to test it, and putting together that final presentation for April 9th. If you have any questions about this at any time, of course, we can help you with guidance. If there's something specific you're not sure when you should be getting it done, just ask us on Piazza and we'll get back to you there. So finally, we have a lot of support to help you through this challenge. We don't expect you to do it all by yourself. We'll be holding office hours with the TAs every single week. They'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern on alternating Mondays and Saturdays. So the first office hours will be held on January 6th, which is a Saturday. Again, at 6 p.m. Eastern. We try to do that a little bit later on the East Coast so that those of you further west in the country will hopefully be out of school by the time that starts. Please let us know if that time on both Mondays and Saturdays really doesn't work for your team at all. It's okay if not everybody on your team can go to every single office hours, but I would encourage you to send at least one member of your team every other week. You know, it's okay if you can only make Mondays or you can only make Saturdays, but try to get there on a fairly regular cadence so that you're keeping up with any announcements that we have. You're able to ask questions, hear questions from other teams, which can be super valuable as well. Remember that RTAs have done this before. They're both really knowledgeable about the hardware and the EDLI course, and they're here to help you. And office hours is a great time to interact with them, get help with your setting up your Raspberry Pi or working through an issue that you're having with EDLI. We'll also be having additional instructors join some of those sessions for special seminars. Those could be things like Katie coming to talk to you about the science mission, or it could be one of our instructors who helped develop the course talking about their area of expertise, anything from power systems to environmental testing to RF communications could be some of the topics that we have in those special seminars. The details for those in the schedule will be posted on Piazza as they're scheduled. In addition to office hours, you'll also be assigned a technical mentor that will be paired with your team. Each team will be able to meet with their mentor at least every other week. Your mentor is there to guide you with your team specifics. So you can ask them questions about what you're thinking for your design. Most of our mentors are professionals in the aerospace industry, so they can also give you some guidance on career advice or any kind of aerospace questions that you might have. All of our mentors have different backgrounds, so what they might be better at helping with you with is going to vary. That's why we have the office hours also available for any kind of general questions, anything that your mentor is not able to answer. Please ask those at office hours or on Piazza. If you haven't joined our Piazza already, please do so as soon as possible, because that we're going to be using that not only for you to ask questions, but also for announcements. So any changes that we need to make to, if we have to reschedule an office hours, if there's going to be a special seminar, if there's more details that we think will help you with your final project, anything like that will be announced on Piazza. So please join that and check it on a regular cadence. I saw a question in the Q&A about the role of technical mentor, so hopefully this answers what that role is. We'll be having, if you are a technical mentor and you're on this call, we will be having a separate meeting with you to explain your role and help sort out who is going to be paired with which team. We expect to get those introductions between teams and mentors out in early January. To summarize, what you're expected to do to complete the Build A CubeSat challenge is to complete the EDLI course. Every member of your team should complete the self-check questions to learn about satellite engineering and make sure you're understanding the material. You should be sharing your progress with your mentor regularly because they're going to be helping you through the course, so they need to know where you're at. It's a good way to check in to make sure you're making good progress. Make sure to submit your FlatSat challenge photo, your design review video, and your final presentation video by the deadlines that we've provided, and join our final event on April 13th for live presentations and awards. Remember to work collaboratively with your teammates, be respectful of yourself and others, and remember that this is a challenge that's meant to be fun and to allow you to learn some things that you might not get an opportunity to do in your regular high school coursework. Final thing that I'll mention about that is if you have any issues or extenuating circumstances that come up, please let us know about them as soon as possible so we can help you through and have fun and enjoy the course. We can now take questions. I see there's quite a few in the Q&A. When will you be meeting with your mentors? That will be up to you and your mentor to decide. So we'll introduce you to your mentor in January, and then your team and your mentor can pick a time that works for all of you. That can be any time that's mutually agreed upon. So I see a question that says, is it a 4A or B? I assume that's a question about what type of Raspberry Pi. I think Joel ordered the Raspberry Pis, might be able to answer that.
Joel, you're muted.
Type an answer.
Yeah, sorry. It is a 4B.
Do you know what RAM off the top of your head? I think it's 2, right?
I think
Or
they're
1.
2 gigabytes, but there's SD cards that we're shipping with the units, 32 gigabyte SD cards that are getting shipped with the Pis.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so everything that you need will be included in the hardware kit. You should not purchase anything to complete this challenge. That's actually spelled out pretty specifically in the final project guidelines. Please do not purchase anything. I also would encourage you to read through the final project description and the rubric very carefully. There's a lot of information to get through, and you will find it, I think, helpful to read through that all. We do also have videos on YouTube from past Build a CubeSat courses and the previous Build a CubeSat challenge that I would encourage you to look at as well if you're looking for any kind of inspiration or just some information on what we're expecting. The mentor meeting, I believe, is on Thursday. Lisa or Joel, have you guys sent out an invite for that?
We will.
We'll send that out soon.
In my calendar, it says Thursday, the 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern.
I see a question. Are you allowed to purchase additional materials for testing? And no, you should not need to purchase any materials. If you feel like you need to purchase something, please let us know and explain what it is and why you would like to purchase it. What is a typical project proposal like? So you don't need to give a formal proposal. You should just put together a description of how you're going to solve the project, and you'll do something called a concept of operations, which is described in the final project section of the course of what that looks like and what we're expecting from a ConOps. But you don't have a formal deliverable for a project proposal, but I would encourage you to talk to your mentor about how you're going to approach the project before you dive into any of the detailed design, because your mentor will be able to help you work through that and make sure you're starting from the best possible place before you dive into the weeds of actually implementing things in code or anything like that. So if you fill out the acceptance by the end of this week, I think that should be okay, but we do need everybody's acceptances in as soon as possible. So please fill that out, today, tomorrow, if you haven't already. This meeting, this kickoff is being recorded, and we will post that. We'll probably post a link on Piazza. I see a question here about the email distribution list, so I'm gonna ask Joel or Lisa who put that together, who's on the email distribution list.
I think Joel put it together, and I think it's everybody, right?
Participants, there's an email list, BWSI BACC participants list that includes everyone who's completed the participants form. And so everybody's on that. But moderation is set so that you cannot reply all to that mail list. It really is used for staff for announcements. I guess questions should go to the BWSI-BACC, excuse me, underbar, let me put it in this chat here. There is an admin email list that is best to use for reaching out to us about things about your account, for account access, or for not being on the email list.
Any other questions should go in Piazza that aren't admin related?
I see a question, how do we access the modules? All of the course is on Edly. There is a form to request access to Edly. If you have not done that already, please fill that out as soon as possible, and then you will get access shortly after. It is a manual process, you don't automatically get access with that form, so please bear with us. It can take a few days, especially like if you request access on the 24th of December, you're probably not going to get access for a little bit. So please do that before the holidays so we can get everybody access. This question, what is an example project people in the past have done? The last Build a CubeSat challenge, our science mission was detecting colored plastic in the ocean with a scientist from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. You can find lots of videos about that on the BWSI YouTube page. We've done, for the summer course, we've done projects on all sorts of things, including detecting oil, detecting algae, and we've looked at looking for penguins in Antarctica. And then this past summer, we looked at cities at night, so looking at the electrical grids. This question, when will the kits be shipped? We're hoping to get them out early January. So you'll hopefully get the kits in January. If you have any concern about the address that your kit is being shipped to, please let us know.
I'll add they're going to be sent to the lead coach because that's the email or shipping address that we've got and requested.
I see a hand up. Could you, if you have a question, could you post it in the Q&A? I'm not sure if we're able to have attendees ask questions otherwise.
Yeah, I see Jacob there too, so.
How will we be submitting the challenge photo and the videos? So we will be putting the information for how to submit things on Piazza. We typically use Dropbox. I think we'll probably do the same this year, but the details will be posted on Piazza closer to the due date. As a question, you want us to complete the online modules before January by the end of December. So the whole course is online in various modules. I don't expect you to have completed all of them. I am expecting that you would have completed the first 3 modules already, as that was part of the team application. But if you haven't, you should start working on that. And then I would expect that you've completed everything prior to the FlatSat challenge by mid to late January. I think those are all great questions that people asked. Thank you for asking that. Are the due dates for the courses lenient, or should they be done with the same due dates as the CubeSat? I'm not sure what the SIDFE course is. David, could you elaborate on what you mean there? Do you mean the Python course and the Git course? Yeah, so for the GitHub course and the Python course, those are very useful for completing all of your hardware related projects. So I would recommend that you complete those before you start the hardware aspect of the course. But we don't have a specific due date for those. Okay, we have a question, is there a large difference between this year and the last with it being a competition now? So we've always had awards. I wouldn't necessarily call it a competition. The awards might not be exactly what you're expecting, but we've always had awards involved with the Build a CubeSat course. We like to recognize the teams who put in a really good effort and learned a lot from doing the course. Question, are 50 teams selected in all for this challenge? I think we ended up selecting approximately 40 teams. And then we'll choose at most 10 teams to present live for the final event, but everybody who has gotten accepted, which you have if you're here, you will all get a hardware kit and a mentor and will get to participate in all aspects of the course. So question, is there a completion percentage on EDLI course that all members of our team need to reach? I would like everybody to reach at least 75% by the end of the course. There may be awards associated with that. Do lead coaches need to submit a team photo picture of all the team members? Yes, I believe that's something we asked for in the acceptance email. If you have a question about how to submit that, please let us know. And of course, you can always ask us questions on Piazza about anything like that if we don't answer your question right now. The question, how much time should the modules take us? A week, a month? So the layout that I've got here is approximately how long I expect things to take. So I expect the first few modules up through the FlatSat challenge. And there's a project called Meet the Hardware Project. So I expect all of that to take you about a month to get through. And then about a month to work through all of the subsystem labs and get to the point where you can start your final project. And then about a month and a half to 2 months to complete your final project. But of course, that really can be variable depending on your team and how quickly you choose to work through things. This is kind of a guidance to make sure you're keeping pace and will be able to make the due dates, but of course you can go faster too.
While we're waiting for another post, I'll just remind everybody here, if they haven't, that the Build a CubeSat Challenge website has links for the registration and for other things we'll be posting as well, particularly for students who haven't or new just joining the program, that they should start there so that they can get the links and get registered. And then that really kicks off the process to be part of the challenge.
Yeah, and I'll just leave up here our Piazza information. If you have not joined Piazza yet, please go do that right now. So the question, what is the recommended environment to build the CubeSat? I'm not sure if you mean a physical environment or a computer environment, but there really is not necessarily a specific environment that you need in either case. For the hardware, I would recommend a clean area. There's some information in the course about hardware safety, so please take those recommendations in mind with avoiding having food and drinks right next to your hardware. Avoid metal that could short something out while it's powered on. I think that anywhere where your team can meet together, you have a workspace, a table is helpful. In terms of computers, really any kind of system should be able to talk to the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi itself runs a Linux operating system, so you will be working with Linux by using the Raspberry Pi. So the question that your coach hasn't gotten any emails from BWSI. So I guess I'm wondering how you got the webinar link and if your coach can reply to however you received this link, reach back to us in that method, whether that was email or Piazza, and with specific details about your team, and we can look into that. This question, do you need any external tools, i.e. soldering? You do not need any tools. You will not need to do any soldering unless something breaks, in which case we can discuss that. Question about a mistake in the participant acceptance form. I think as long as most of the information is correct, we should be able to figure that out. The biggest thing is to make sure you have the correct team number. If your team number is right, we can figure out who you are. So question, will we actually shoot our CubeSat into space? So for this challenge, unfortunately, we will not be able to launch our satellites. But if that's something you're interested in doing, there absolutely are programs both for high school students and for university students. So once you get into college where you can launch a CubeSat. So that's definitely something that I'm happy to talk to you about if that's something you're interested in.
Also about the webinar link, I might have missed that. That might be on me because I tried to copy all the emails that we had in the spreadsheets and stuff to the email list, but I might have missed the coach emails. So, but y'all can send your coach the link to the meeting if you want right now. Or I mean, like we will be uploading the recording so your coaches can see the recording, and just make sure you update them on what we talked about.
Sometimes your coach might not be getting it because the school is blocking it. So it's behind a firewall. So we may just need a different email that is not a school email. So if he's truly not getting them and has checked spam and everything else, the firewall is blocking it.
Yeah, I did get a message about some of the Steam Village emails that didn't go through the like automated email
Yep.
thing, like sent me a thing saying that it didn't go through properly. So that might also be an issue.
There's a question, what's the recommended workflow for working on the hardware project so we don't toe step one another? So we have a course on using GitHub. I'd recommend that you follow the recommendations in that course for how to branch and develop features. Yeah, so we've covered all of the material that we had to share with you. So the rest of this is just Q&A for anyone who still has questions. So yeah, if you need to leave. There's a question about the getting access to the EDLI course. You do need to fill out the online course, the EDLI enrollment form. So that is separate from your participant acceptance form. You can find the link for that on the Build a CubeSat website. Joel, can you put a link to the website in the chat or something? That's what I was mentioning earlier. That is a manual process once you submit that form for us to get you access. So please submit that as soon as possible so that we can get you access before the holidays. Every team member should have access to the online course. If they don't, please have them submit that form.
I was up to date with the form as of about 7 o'clock this morning.
There's a question about what class in college is this course equivalent to? And this really isn't directly equivalent to any specific college course. The closest thing is a aerospace capstone course. MIT runs a Beaver Cube capstone course, which is roughly similar to this. It's not exactly the same, but it's sort of equivalent content. So I think that would be the closest thing, but it's really not a one-to-one. What we're doing here is different than what a lot of your college courses will be, more content related, whereas this course is more about learning systems engineering and how to work on an engineering team, break up a problem and really build it in hardware. A lot of your engineering courses in college will be more learning the equations for things, how to work math out on paper, learning about the physics behind how things work. We will talk about that a little bit in the course as well, but this is much more focused on building, which you don't get as much of in college courses typically. For those of you who are thinking about doing engineering in college, I would definitely encourage you to join some kind of a club or a research group that would allow you to get hands-on experience outside of your courses. Question, when do you estimate that our hardware kit will arrive? It's hard to say. It really depends also on where you are in the country.
Yeah.
But we're hoping to get them out to you by the end of January at the latest. Hopefully earlier than that, but it's hard to predict exactly when they'll get to you.
we do have all the parts. It's just a matter of putting them all together in boxes and getting them mailed out. So we're ahead of the schedule in that sense. But we'll have to work around the holidays a little bit.
Yeah, nothing's going to go out before the holidays, so don't expect anything until January. I'm not seeing any other questions. So if there's any question that we missed or you didn't get a chance to ask today, please let us know on Piazza. Email. Jill, do you have the email for is it BACC_BWSI? Or the other way around? You're muted, Jill.
Yes, I can post it in again.
Yeah, I can post that in the chat. So I think Piazza should be your first place to go for questions, but if there is something that you want to email, please go to email the address that Jill just put in the chat here. But
In
Piazza,
particular for access, right? In particular for access, whether it's Edley or for mail and things like that, that goes to the admin team so that we can help resolve those issues, or incorrect information on forums, like there was a post about the coach's email address.
yes.
Right. Sorry.
And you can
All right.
also post private questions in Piazza as well if you feel like you need to, especially if you're posting something about an answer to a self-check question, we would ask that you post that privately to just the instructors and the TAs. So the question is, BWSI going to host a summer program this year? It absolutely will. For the final project, how will we create a mock testing environment? So you don't have an ocean research-based project this year. Our science mission is on disaster relief. So you don't need to have an ocean involved in that in any way. I think if you read through the final project description, it should give you some ideas for how you could set up your demo. But if you're still not sure, you should talk to your mentor for advice and ask questions in office hours and on Piazza. So for any questions related to the summer program, I'm going to point you to the BWSI website for the latest information there. We are going to do our best to collect these Q&A questions and post them as an FAQ on Piazza, and also post this kickoff video as soon as we can get that up. So watch out for that, and please share this information with any of your teammates or coaches who weren't able to make it today. It was great getting to talk to all of you and welcoming you to the challenge this year. Good luck on your projects, and we look forward to working with you over the next few months.